Hello, guys. I do apologize for the late start. Had some technical difficulties, but now they have been sorted out. So, good evening to you, and welcome to another webinar from My English School. Now, my name is Andre, and again, if some of you don't know me, I'm from a small island in the Caribbean called Barbados, but now I'm living in Rome, and now I'm here teaching you at My English School. So, today we're looking at focus activity 8 to 10. This time we're looking at art, being an art critic. I know a lot of you out there are connoisseurs of art, people who are very interested in art and can really critique and criticize art. And I think a lot of Italians respect art because of Italy being such an artistic place. A lot of their people are very artistic and can, of course, identify what is good art and what is bad art. So today we're looking at the art critic. So remember, when you join us, tell me your name and tell me where you're from. Cool. So let's begin. Now, in this focus activity, we're describing art and using the passive form. Yeah. And of course, looking at controversial art. So this should be interesting. Okay, the physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living. This is an interesting phrase. The physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living. For me, when I see this particular phrase, it tells me, it speaks about the fact that as human beings, living human beings, we are unable to physically understand death. Yeah, we can think about it, we have ideas about it, but really and truly, we can't experience it. If you understand what I'm saying. So in this case, it's physically impossible, yeah, to think or to understand death in itself. So it's not physically possible. When someone is dead, they can't physically understand it because they're not living, because they have no mind, they have no body, they're dead. So in this case, it's kind of correct. It's kind of impossible and kind of very difficult, very, very difficult to understand death in the physical sense. We have ideas about it, but we cannot physically experience it when we're living. Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's look at this particular picture. We have a picture of a shark in a case or an aquarium, but it's not living, it's dead. So it's a dead shark. Is this art? Would you call this art or just something totally different? Would you consider a shark in a tank art? Hmm? For me, well, in this case, it's a preserved shark. So the first one is about a shark in general. So a shark, which is a fish, type of fish, uh, can be considered art by some people, and in other sense, people think it's just an animal, basically. For me, I think a shark is maybe there's some level of artistic thing about a shark, meaning the way it's made, the way it's structured, the way it is shaped. It's artistic in the sense of its shape, its makeup, its features. I think for me that is the artistic part of a shark or a fish. But technically, it's not art. It's an animal. It's a fish. Yeah. So let's look at number two. Is a preserved shark art? Like in this picture right here on the right, on the left, sorry. Is a preserved shark art? For me, the artistic part of a preserved shark is this is a dead shark that's been preserved so it stays the same way, in the same form, in the same material. Uh, can be artistic the way it's done. Maybe someone who is into preservation and preserving items and dead animals, it's an art to it as well. So in that sense, it's artistic, the way it is done. Is this the particular object art? That's a good question too. It could just be a preserved shark. On the other hand, other people might think it's art as well. It's an art piece, basically. For me, I think the most artistic part of it is the way it is preserved. The person who preserved the shark, the way they did it is more artistic for me. Now, number three, we're looking at is a preserved shark floating in formaldehyde in a tank art? So in this case, is a preserved shark floating in formaldehyde in a tank art? Now, formaldehyde is what they use to preserve, the chemical they use to preserve people or dead animals or things that were living but no dead. So do you consider that art? Well, in this same picture, it's a preserved shark, but it's floating in a tank. It's, how should I say, it's still. It's, how would I say, not only still, but, hmm, can't remember the word right now. But anyways, it's still, it's not moving. It's in a preserved tank with preservation fluid, which is formaldehyde, basically. So for me, this could be considered art. This picture on the left could be considered art, but other people might have different ideas about it. All right, let's look at number four. Does it make you feel anything? So does this picture of a shark, a preserved shark, floating in formaldehyde in a tank, yeah, does it make you feel anyway? Does it give you a sense of feeling? Hi, Cinzia. Welcome. Welcome for Bologna. So yeah, we're looking at art and being a critic, an art critic. So would you consider this particular picture with a shark in formaldehyde in a tank art? And do you feel anything? Does it make you feel any way about it? Yeah, I'm not an expert on art either, Cinzia. But for me, it's a feeling, for me, it's a feeling of fear, of danger, of, I don't know, something negative. It doesn't really bring out any specific emotion, but it, for me, maybe it could evoke fear in someone, fear of death. Some people might consider it a very interesting piece of art, but for me, it doesn't do me. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't make me feel any particular way. Yeah. Alrighty, so let's look at some more art, like this picture as well. So number one is a skull art. So remember, the bones inside your head is called the skull. So is a skull art? And Chintzia said, I love animals, so I'm feeling bad. Okay, I understand what you're saying, Chintzia. So basically, animals, you love animals. So to see an animal being preserved as an art piece is kind of sad, isn't it? Yeah, I can understand how you feel too. Yeah. So now let's look at the skull. So remember, the skull is a human, it could be animal, but it's the facial structure, the bone structure of the head. So would you consider it an art piece, a skull, just a normal skull? For me, I believe in the technical sense, maybe not artistic, but the structure, the making of the skull, the way how the skull is formed, for me is art. The way how everything is so symmetrical, the eyes, the head, the shape, the teeth. It's a very artistic structure when you look at it. But technically, for me, just a normal skull is not art. Now, is a skull cast in platinum art, like in this one, is cast in platinum? For me, it's not art. It's just something that's been created to look flashy, something that's created to look, fancy or whatever. To me, it's not particularly art, just casting it fully in platinum, which is a type of metal. Is a skull cast in platinum and covered in diamonds art? Maybe like this picture, it's covered in diamonds and then platinum. It can be artistic, the way how the person placed each diamond, placed the design in the middle of the skull. It's artistic. Yeah, maybe for a centerpiece or for jewelry or putting in your house as decor. It could be considered art to me. Yeah. So what do you feel when you look at this skull? Now, for me, when I look at this skull, it just screams flashy and fancy and exaggerated. And so for me, it screams expensive. Yeah. So that's how it makes me feel. Chintzia, how does it make you feel? This skull with diamonds and platinum. How does it make you feel? Any particular way? Does it make you feel excited? Does it make you feel very interested? For me, it just screams expensive, fancy, sophisticated. Alrighty, cool. So let's move on. So describing art, I want you to match the words to the categories. So we have the categories of color, texture, style, and composition. So these are the four categories we're working with. And these are the words we're looking at. We've got rough, bold, asymmetrical, smooth, modern, abstract, realistic, balanced, distorted, vibrant, uneven, and subtle. So these are some adjectives we can use to describe art pieces. Yeah, when we're describing art, we can use some of these adjectives. Now let's put these adjectives in a specific category. So we've got rough. Rough. Rough is an adjective speaking about texture. So something is rough. Yeah. Okay, so Chintzia before said, I'm thinking only a skull with diamonds, not art. Exactly. It doesn't scream art to me. It just seems like something that someone did to make it look fancy or exciting, but not specifically artistic. Maybe the way how they position the diamonds, they created the design might be artistic, but the piece itself for me is not very artistic. Cool. So let's continue to look at these adjectives and let's put them in the correct categories. So you've got rough. Remember, rough is a texture. Something is rough. It has a very hard surface. It's not even. It's not flat. It's rough. So very erratic texture. So rough. Which one would it go into? And I just mentioned it. It goes into texture, the category of texture. Rough is a texture. Now let's look at bold. What category do you think bold goes into? Is it color? Is it texture? Is it style? Or is it composition? Bold. Something is bold or looks bold. So basically, bold means it stands out. It's very recognizable. You know, people can see it. It's the first thing that draws your attention. Something that's bold. Chintzia, do you know which category it belongs to? Is it color? Is it style? Is it texture? Composition? Bold. Give you a couple seconds. I know we have a slight delay, so color, style, texture, composition, bold. Which one is it? Something's telling me maybe style, perhaps. Style, let's see. Color. For me, something has a bold style, meaning it stands out. It can be color too, a bold color. Yeah, something that's bright, color like red is very bold as well. I think it can go between color and style for me. But in this case, color or style. Now let's look at asymmetrical. Okay, Chintzy was right, color, good. But for me, both color and style can work. Style as well. All right, asymmetrical. So is it color, style, texture, composition? Asymmetrical. We've got symmetrical, which is even. Yeah. So like some people's faces are symmetrical, meaning the left and the right side of their face are the same length, the same size, their eyes are the same size, nose, mouth. Normally they say people with symmetrical with symmetrical faces are very good looking. Yeah. People with asymmetrical faces are not as good looking. But that's what they say. Yeah. But judging someone in terms of their looks can be different from person to person. Okay, so Chintzia, you said asymmetrical is texture. Maybe not. It's composition. So asymmetrical is composition. How is something composed? So the structure of it. So the structure of the face, the structure of the art piece, is it asymmetrical? Is it how should I say, equal in size and length? Or is it asymmetrical, which is not the same size or same length or same shape? So something that's asymmetrical is usually something that has no strict structure. It's not a square, it's not a circle, it's a different shape. You all normally say it's asymmetrical. It's not even. So asymmetrical is composition, how it's structured, how it's composed. All right, let's look at smooth. So smooth. Color, texture, style, or composition. Which one is it? Smooth. Hmm. And what's the opposite of smooth? There's an opposite. What is the opposite of smooth, and what is the correct category we can put it under? Smooth. Okay, for me, smooth is texture. Correct, Chintzia. So the opposite of smooth is rough. Yeah, so they are the opposites, rough and smooth. So something is rough, it means it's a very hard surface, it's not even, it's not flat, while smooth is flat with no interruptions. So it's smooth, it's flat, like a wall is smooth, it has no interruptions. Yeah. Oh, let's look at modern. Is it color? Is it texture? Is it style or composition? Modern. Modern. Is it style, color, texture, or composition? So this one could be difficult for some people, but modern refers to exactly style, Chintzia. Very good. So modern is a style. So art piece, the style of the art piece is modern, or the style of the art piece is maybe, Renaissance, or maybe one of those other types of styles. Or it could be, I don't know. So there's modern, there's Renaissance, there's what are the other types of art? So many different styles. There are many different styles. So modern is a style. Let's look at abstract. Is abstract a style, a color, a texture, or composition? Color, style, texture, composition. Abstract. Abstract. Style, okay, correct. So abstract is another style. Yeah. Modern, abstract. Contemporary is another style as well. Yeah. Okay, let's look at realistic. Color, texture, composition, or style, Jinsia. Color, texture, style, composition. Realistic. This one can also be a little tricky sometimes, but realistic. Color, texture, style, composition. Correct, style. So realistic is a style as well. So we got three of those styles here: realistic, abstract, modern. Let's look at balanced. Is it color, texture, style, or composition? Balanced. Something is balanced. An art piece is balanced. Balanced. So texture, color, style, or composition? Balanced. Correct, Chintzia. Composition. So balance. So remember we had asymmetrical, unbalanced, and we have balance, either equal or symmetrical. So you can say symmetrical or balanced. Let's look at distorted. What's distorted? Color, texture, style, or composition. Distorted. Something is distorted. This picture is distorted. This sculpture is distorted. Which one is it? Distorted. Okay, Chintzy says composition. And you're correct. Yeah, it's the way it's made. It's the way it's structured. It's a distorted structure. It's not symmetrical in this sense. It's not balanced. All right, let's look at vibrant. Vibrant. Something is, oh my goodness. This picture is vibrant. Is it color, texture, style, or composition? Vibrant. I'm losing my head today. So vibrant. Style? Not quite. It's color. So when you say something is vibrant, it means the color. These colors are vibrant. They're very bright and they stand out. They're very recognizable. Like I'm looking at a sunset right now. Today was a sunny day, at least partially sunny day. Now I'm looking at the sunset. Oh, these colors are vibrant. The colors of the sunset are vibrant, meaning they're very bright colors, very bright orange and red and yellow. So it's color. Texture, oops, did it by mistake. So texture is uneven. So an uneven texture is like rough. So usually rough textures are uneven. They're interrupted. They're not smooth or flat, but they have an interruption. So uneven is also texture. Now let's look at the last one. Can we figure out the last one? Subtle. So remember, this is not pronounced subtle. It's pronounced subtle. The B is silent. So it's subtle. When you say this picture or this painting is subtle, what is it? Is it color, texture, style, or composition? What do you think, Chintzia? Composition? Okay, let's see. Sorry, it's color. So remember, the opposite of vibrant is subtle in terms of color. So you have vibrant, which is very colorful, very bright. And then you have subtle, it's not as bright. It's, as we say, it's dull. It's not a very bright color. Maybe it's like a gray. A gray is like a subtle color, or khaki is a subtle color, or beige is a subtle color. But like red and green, bright greens are very vibrant. So subtle is color. Subtle is color. So remember that. So we've got color, which is bold, vibrant, and subtle. Texture, rough, smooth, uneven. Style, modern, abstract, and realistic. And composition, asymmetrical, balanced, and distorted. All right, so let's take note of these, all right? Let's move on. So let's look at these particular structures. We're looking at architecture. We've got the first picture, which is Dancing House in Prague. Then we've got One World Trade Center in New York. And then we've got the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao. So these are three kind of unique architectural structures. Now, Chintzia, I want you to describe these structures. So the first one, how would you describe this structure using all of the adjectives we did before? So remember, we've got color, we've got texture, we've got composition, and of course, we've got style as well. Yeah, I forgot those. So tell me, how would you describe this first picture, the dancing house in Prague? Give me some examples of some adjectives you can use to describe it. So first of all, let's look at composition, the way it's structured. How would you describe the structure of this building, the dancing house in Prague? I've never seen it. I've never been to Prague. So how would you describe the composition of this building? Interesting, huh? It's not a very simple design or structure. Yes, the dancing house. How would you describe it, Chintzia? Using the adjectives we used before of composition, texture, style, color. For me, I think it's a very unique structure. It's very different. I would say its composition is practically unbalanced. Yeah, it's an unbalanced structure. Or I should say asymmetrical. It's an asymmetrical structure. There's no even structure. So it's asymmetrical. Yeah. So that would be the composition for me, asymmetrical. What about you, Chintzia? In terms of texture, texture, maybe I want to use texture so much in this picture. Yeah, it's asymmetrical. For me, I would say in terms of color, it's practically, it's practically, I wouldn't say a vibrant. It's not a vibrant color. It's a very subtle color, like a very, it looks like pink, very like pink, maybe, and some glass. So it's made of glass, it's made of different types of materials, but basically the color is very subtle to me. In terms of style, the type of style, it's a very, it could be modern style. What other adjectives we can use? Let's look back. So very abstract, I would say. It's a very abstract style. Modern and abstract, maybe. Yeah, modern, abstract. More abstract for me. Good. All right, let's look at the second picture. We've got the One World Trade Center in New York. So how would you describe this, Chintzia? What kind of style is this building? Is it modern? Is it, what should I say, abstract? Is it, yeah, what is it? Modern, abstract, realistic? Hi, Kiara, welcome. We're looking at describing architecture and art. So how would you describe the second picture? For me, I would say the second picture, the building in the second picture, is more modern for me. Is a more modern building. Of course, that's where the World Trade Center was, the two towers, and they replaced it with the One World Trade Center, just one building. And I think it's very modern. I think it's symmetrical, meaning it's even. It has a very even and balanced composition. Yeah, exactly. Balanced, modern, vibrant, and smooth. So yeah, so it's vibrant, maybe in the sense that it's um it's reflective, meaning it's made of glass. So it reflects a lot. So maybe the light coming off of the building is vibrant. You're right, it's smooth, very smooth glass. And of course, it's modern and it's balanced in terms of the composition. It's very balanced. Now let's look at the third picture. Now this one is a little bit different from the World Trade Center, the One World Trade Center. How would you describe the Guggenheim Museum? What kind of adjectives would you use to describe the Guggenheim Museum? So we've got style, texture, color, and of course, composition. I've got some ideas of how I could describe it, but how would you describe the Guggenheim Museum? Kiara, you can also join in. How would you describe, excuse me, how would you also describe this building? Excuse me. So the Guggenheim Museum, designed by Frank uh, Gehry in 1997. So Chintzia says modern and abstract. I totally agree with you, Chintzia. It's modern and abstract. What about the texture? What about the texture and the composition and the color? All three of those. The composition, the color. So Kiara says it's the third picture. Yeah, it's a contemporary building. Yeah, you can say contemporary as well. Chintzia says texture smooth. Yeah, because it's made of a material that's kind of smooth. It's not rough. Yeah, maybe I think it's made of some kind of glass or some kind of other material that's very smooth. What about the color? How would you describe the color? Is it vibrant? Is it subtle? Vibrant, subtle, in terms of color? For me, I would say it's a subtle color. It's like a bronze kind of brown. It's not very bright and vibrant. So more of a subtle color. Yeah, very, very subtle. Mhm. What do you guys think? Is it vibrant? Is it subtle to you? Yeah, subtle. I agree. Change the word subtle. Smooth and subtle. And the color, as I said, is not a very bright color. Remember, subtle means not very bright and vibrant. Is the opposite of vibrant. Excellent job, guys. Yeah, so these are some of the adjectives we use for describing architecture. And it's almost similar to art because architecture is like art, basically. Yeah. So we can use the same adjective to describe art and the architecture as well. Great. So let's move on. So now it's time to filling the blanks with the correct or the gaps with the correct form of the verb. So we've got first one, some argue that art make only by humans, not machines or devices like photography. So here we're looking at the passives. We're looking at the form of passives. So in this case, we're going to use the present passive. So how do we form the present passive in this text? So we've got some argue that art, the verb is make, only by humans, not machines or devices like photography. So we're forming the passive. What is missing? And how do we form the passive for the verb make? This time we're looking at present passive. Do you know the answer? So let me give you the first one. So some argue that art is made only by humans, not machines or devices like photography. So in this case, we're using the present passive with the verb to be in the present form and the past participle of the verb to make. Yeah. So some argue that art is made only by humans, not machines or devices like photography. So here we use the present simple passive, the verb to be in the present tense, and the past participle of the verb. Great. Let's look at the second part. So we've got art, and the verb is create by design, adding or removing things. So art, verb to create, by design, adding or removing things. Now, how do we form the passive for this verb? Remember, we've got the verb to be and then the past participle. So can we guess the form? Exactly, Chintzia. So art is created by design, adding or removing things. Good. So the past participle of create is created. Now let's look at the next one. Works of art, verb produce, only one time. No pieces will be exactly the same. So what is the passive form of this verb? Produce. What is the passive form? We've got the verb produce. Remember, verb to be and the past participle. So works of art. So verb to be and then the past participle. In this case, we're looking at works of art, which is plural. So works of art are produced. So remember, we use the verb to be in the plural form because here the subject is plural, works of art. So it's plural. So works of art are produced only one time. No pieces will be exactly the same. Good. Let's continue. Unlike art, photos can be copied, printed, and duplicated a thousand times over. For others, photography, verb, consider art. So here we have the passive form. Is it present passive or is it past passive? So for others, photography, verb, consider art. How do we form the passive here? So the answer is considered. It's still present passive. So for others, photography is considered art. Yeah, and that's an interesting topic. Some people argue that photography is not art, but for others, it is art. So it depends on the person, it depends on the opinion of the person. Exactly. So good job, Kiara. So art produced is correct because works of art, plural. And then we have for others, photography is considered art. So we have photography, which is the singular form. So they argue that the camera, the verb control, and the choices about what it is or verb include in the photo are two. So we've got the verb control and we've got the verb include. So what is the correct answer? So they argue that the camera and the choices about what is or in the photo are two. So that's form control. What's the passive for this one? So they argue that the camera, singular, is controlled. So the past participle of control is controlled, and the choices about what is or is not included. So there is a negative now. So we have the negative. So they argue that the camera is controlled and the choices about what is or is not included in the photo are two. So we have the negative form, is not, or you can say, or isn't. You can use the contraction as well. So let's read it through again to understand better the text. So some argue that art is made only by humans, not machines or devices like photography. Art is created by design, adding, or removing things. Works of art are produced only one time. No pieces will be exactly the same. Unlike art, photos can be copied, printed, and duplicated a thousand times over. For others, photography is considered art. They argue that the camera is controlled and the choices about what is or is not included in the photo are too. So, in some circumstances, people don't think that photography is art because it's done by a machine, it's controlled. While on the other hand, some believe that works of art are adding or removing things to create that artistic piece. But it depends on the person. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that photography is art or do you think it isn't art? For me, I think photography is art. The capturing of that image is the artistic part of it. For me, being able to capture a moment or capture a particular scene or create a scene and take a photo of it is the artistic part of it. Maybe the photo of itself for me is not art, but everything behind it, the creation of the scene behind it is artistic for me. What do you guys think? Is photography art or isn't it? Okay, Chintzia says she agrees with me. She agrees that photography, the capturing of the actual scene or the creation of the scene is the artistic part of it, but the photo itself is not the artistic thing. So it's basically about how you created that scene before you took the picture. That's the artistic part of it. For me, I agree with that as well. So Kiara, what do you think? Do you think photography is art? Yeah, I hope you agree with us. That's it's the action of creating the image or the action of capturing that particular image is the artistic part of it. But the physical, for me, the physical picture is not the art. Cool. All right, guys. So today we learned about the different adjectives and the categories of describing art and architecture. Remember, we've got color, we've got texture, we've got style. So for color, we've got bold, we've got vibrant, we've got subtle. Yeah, we forgot bold as well. Texture is rough, smooth, and uneven. Style, modern, abstract, realistic, and composition, asymmetrical, balanced, and distorted. So practice these particular adjectives because they're very important in describing art and describing architecture. So remember which categories they belong to. And of course, we looked at the passives. We looked at the present passive, how it's structured. Remember, the present passive is usually the verb to be, sorry, verb to be plus the past participle. And of course, practice the past participles of these verbs as well. Yeah, it's very important. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this webinar. I hope that you can use this language, especially when you start to visit those museums and art galleries again. You can be able to describe them more effectively. I hope you have a great evening and have a good dinner. Of course, stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more webinars at My English School. See you guys later. Bye, Cinzia. Bye, Kiara. You're welcome. Take care.